You're watching Suck Professor. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank. I'm joined by...
James.
James!
You're getting tired of doing this. Glad there's only 8 episodes in the season, James. It's Westworld on HBO.
Welcome, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 7 of our award-wanting Westworld review recap podcast series. We are the number 1400 Westworld review show on YouTube? We're the top 1500.
Yeah.
Easily.
That means there's only 1,500 of them.
Yeah. I was trying to see if you were going to push that for a higher number. We just finished watching episode 7. Do you remember what this one was called?
Oh, it's called PP.
PP.
Yeah. Past Pawn.
Past Pawn. Oh, wow. You actually were sourcing that from some reality. We just watched it. We turn on the microphone and then we just have a conversation and kind of recap it. Sort of, we'll go through it a little bit. But James and I are not professionals, but we play them at bars. Get it, James? Get it? I almost touched him and forgot about the quarantine for a second.
Oh, we both die immediately.
Yeah, we
just like people at the end of this episode. Flash forward.
Whoa! Oh yeah, spoilers, by the way, in case anybody was looking out, as of course. But I just want to warn newer people that are not familiar with our show or our channel. Sometimes we get distracted, we go off on tangents, and
sometimes.
It's literally the only reason I like doing these. No, I actually enjoy seeing what everybody says and tracking the show and stuff. But there's plenty of super serious Westworld review channels and shows on the YouTube, and you're not at one of those. So fair warning, right, James?
Mm-hmm. Yep. My favorite part was when Dolores got married.
Yeah,
she married Ashley.
I can't believe that her
name is.
Wait, she married Ashley?
Yeah.
What?
She's now Dolores Stubb. That'll make sense later.
I love it. I was going to make a joke about Greek parents.
Do it.
No. Not since the era of Greek wedding movies was that okay. And it is no longer okay. So hope everybody's handling the quarantine well and safely, and that you're supporting people who need some help. Check in with your old folks, maybe your weird uncle or maybe your weird aunt.
I'm a weird uncle.
I'm a weird uncle too. Sweet. We should combine our forces and become a weird Voltron. A Voltron who's got no, Movie Pass was actually a good idea. This shit's going to go on for a long time. We're not going back to work or regular society, whatever that was, a fucking horrible society anyway, anytime soon. So the mental problems are going to start compiling. Not just that people can't get their hair cut, which is hilarious. As a bald man, I like seeing people struggle with their fucking stupid hair. I have a lot of hair going right now. It's really annoying. I can't stand hair. Who the hell wants hair? Mm-hmm. Baldness is the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm realizing. What a pain in the ass having hair is. I'll talk about that more in my other podcast. But isolation and loneliness and horniness and all these things can start building up and making people act screwy and weird. And so check in on your brain. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need some help with your brain. Right, James?
Yep. And I learned something else.
Tell me something real deep and sinister about your dark inner thoughts.
We cannot go off topic if we never go on topic to begin with.
That's true. All right. What else did you figure out? Then we'll get to the review. We'll start the show.
That Westworld is trying to get back to its deep roots, and it's kind of sort of there, but not really.
Okay.
I don't think anything can really trump the whole alternate multiple timeline thing from season 1.
Okay. You mean best it? Live up to that?
Yeah, it can't recapture lightning in the bottle. It can't be that level of Enigma Westworld again.
No. We can only do Mountain Dew Code Red in a bottle.
Yep.
It's not the best we could hope for. But you... Sounds to me, James, that your expectations for this episode were exceeded. And by that, I mean you kind of had low expectations starting, and maybe it was a little bit better than you kind of expected. You don't have to...
No.
We'll laugh...
No.
Oh, well, I had the sense of...
I did not sit down on the couch and say, you know what I really want? I want more Terminators, and I want a bad Kill Bill ripoff.
Right. Well, what about a soldier who has a backstory that's deep and haunting, and actually he's a pawn of a greater force he was unaware of.
I felt like they were really trying to hammer that home.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is not enough time had passed with us with that character. I didn't personally feel anything for this character, for Caleb Nichols. There's really no connection between me and him. It just didn't work for me. It's like his tragedy was just a few minutes of boredom while watching an overall episode. It sounds harsh, but
Yeah, all right. Well, it didn't resonate with you.
Not really.
Okay.
And that's actually one of the problems with this season is that the other seasons would set stuff up, and every episode you would get a plethora of mysteries, which would allow you to, in the week between the episodes, to kind of ruminate on them, to make theories, to go on Reddit, to discuss what you think is real, what you think isn't real, what the relationships between the characters are, who's a host, who isn't a host, what timeline is it in, what does the maze mean, who is the man in black. All this kind of stuff was infinitely interesting, and it kept me thinking about the show between every single gap of episodes.
Yeah.
This season seems to take the approach of start the episode, ask the question, and by the time you're at the end, the question is answered.
Okay.
Which doesn't leave any meat on the bone in between the episodes to really, let the show marinate.
All right. It's not just plain old... It's like the difference between mystery and confusion.
Yeah.
Is that fair? No, well, I don't think that summarizes what you said very well, but you're saying that the in-between moments, the liminal spaces between the episodes is not as fulfilling this season as previous seasons because they're lacking that kind of like conspiratorial subtext of everything.
Yeah.
Sort of. Even though it's all about sort of competing conspiracies, this whole show.
Yeah, I really miss an episode ending and trying my best to make sense of it, but not being able to really get there. And spending the rest of the week on Reddit reading other people's theories and watching little snapshots, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
From the show. Snapshots. Whatever.
Oh no, I had a snip slip.
It's a thing. not really. But it's like Lost. I loved Lost until it ended.
That Bigfoot? What the hell is that all about?
Yeah.
What's in the hatch? Did they ever show that?
Yeah.
I don't think they fucking ever did.
Yeah, they did. They were down there for the longest time.
Chill out. I know. I know. That's like the whole 90% was after the hatch. I know. I saw it.
What about Richard Hatch? He never paid taxes.
He was in the ground too. They would poop in his mouth.
Yeah.
He was their hatch.
He was the first winner of Survivor who won $1 million and didn't realize he had to pay taxes on it. They went to jail.
That's like you outsmarted all those people on the island. You think he'd pay his fucking tax? Didn't that guy get in trouble for like yelling at his kid while running or something?
Yeah,
there was some child abuse. Well, that's alleged, and I don't know. I don't know what the story is. It's kind of shitty just to talk about a guy and be like, yeah, he abused his kid too. So I don't know. There was some news story. Could have been, who knows? I'm sorry, Richard Hatch.
You know who's really bad?
I'm sorry,
Richard Jewell guy.
Dick Hatch.
I think he was up to stuff.
Richard Jewell?
Yeah, he was definitely a bad guy.
Yeah.
Not really.
He wasn't. He was good. He
was a good man who was framed and ended up. I think he had a heart attack or something after being ostracized by the world and dragged through the mud for a crime he didn't commit.
Oh, he didn't do anything. Okay.
No, it was the whole Olympic bombing type thing.
Yeah, no,
he was the one who found the bomb, and then they tried to implicate him for it.
I've never seen the documentaries or
no, I didn't. I just
the definitive.
I just lived through the news. It was like everywhere. You couldn't get away from it in like the 90s.
Speaking of which, Waco on Netflix is a pretty interesting show. Guys, give it a watch. Okay, so this in this episode we got to see a lot about Jesse. I don't remember exactly the opening shots or whatever, but like
the opening was kind of important because what does it represent? We're in Jakarta.
Oh yeah, Jakarta. We were with was it Musashi? I don't know.
Yes.
It's not. Is it Musashi?
I believe so, but it's probably not.
It's probably not.
Yeah.
No,
I'm good with Mufasa again.
Okay.
Marmaduke.
But Marmaduke.
I'm just thinking of M names.
Boris and Natasha.
Yes.
Then okay, you tell me. I don't fucking know.
Well,
I never remember the beginning. That's like my memory only goes back about 20 minutes.
Okay, so this whole thing has been a battle between Maeve and Dolores. They have opposing goals, so they're basically destined to conflict with one another.
Right.
The last time that Maeve had an interaction with the Musashi character, which is the host that has one of the copies of Dolores in it, she was left dead on the ground from a samurai sword wound in the abdomen. She was killed.
Maeve was. And yes. That's right. She was in all that blood. Or the milk.
Right. Milk. So it appeared in the early stages that Dolores had the upper hand in all respects. She had 5 copies of herself. She had Ashley Stubbs. She has Bernard kind of moving around in the background. Her plans are coming together fairly nicely. She's allied with Caleb Nichols. She basically holds more cards than anyone else at the beginning of the season. So with Serac coming onto the scene, taking over Delos, he's able to build the army for Maeve that she's been missing.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we start seeing Maeve's allies from past seasons showing up. So we see Clementine come into the frame.
And today we see her for the first time finally. We're wondering where Clementine was this season. I'm just trying to recall how they did the Clementine reveal. She was just an assassin waiting for him to walk by, or did they trick him into getting up and walking past that? I don't remember if that's important or not. What's the guy? I feel bad. What's that? What gang are they in? The Yakuza leader. That's fine. We can say
Yakuza.
So, the gang. The Yakuza gang leader is I don't know what the meeting was about. Why were they in that like nice restaurant or something? Is that important at all? Or is the more important part of the scene just the fact that Clementine tried to steal their lunch money?
My interpretation of it was that it was just a very nice setting that you would find someone of power and affluence in Jakarta. So the exact location didn't seem to really matter.
Sure.
It was like patrons speaking in some foreign language and the subtitles below. So I don't think there was much to the scene aside from just a pretty eye candy.
That's perfect. You don't need to indulge me if I'm wrong. So we do get to see Clementine in this scene,
and she starts going Terminator because that's what we need, another Terminator.
But Terminator's a robot, and they're robots.
Why can't she just do the robot?
Do the robot dance?
Yeah, she just gets on the stage.
Robots are Terminators. Terminators are robots. Okay, they all have a murderous instinct, and they're all martial arts experts. I've seen the Boston Dynamics videos on Twitter. They're deadly. They got dogs. You can kick the dog in the side, and it won't even fall over.
Okay.
That's how deadly they are.
Yes. So Clementine gets into a gunfight.
Robot dog, by the way.
Yes. Clementine is in a gunfight with Dolores.
Yeah.
And Dolores starts retreating. And what happens when Dolores gets to the door through which she intends to retreat?
Yakuza Dolores, I mean.
Yes.
Gets stabbed by a big samurai blade.
Wielded by
attached
who?
to a samurai handle. Wielded by a young woman who is dressed up in a snake tattoo.
Right, different. I believe it's a different face, different actress, but the tattoo is unmistakable, whichever version of that is correct. Armistice.
Irregardless, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Armistice. Yeah. That was pretty good. And now, so, the killers. She's got killers. She got her old buddies. It's like she called up the old sorority team and said, "Yo, girls, remember when we murdered that hobo in Cozumel? We're doing it again."
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, but is that the only time we see Armistice this episode?
Oh, this season, yes.
In the season,
yeah.
So she made an appearance at the beginning
because we know, and this is kind of a strange thing, because when Serac came into Delos, he basically said, "This $1 trillion intellectual property, we're going to wipe it all clean.
Yeah.
All I really need is for a handful of hosts to be safe from cold storage."
Right.
So we know he was going down there and hand-picking out. He picked out Hector, but unfortunately Hector is now dead by the hand of Dolores. So he's out of the picture for eternity for all we know, unless there's a backup Pearl somewhere, probably not. But yeah, it shows that Serac is the one who's behind this.
It does seem like it. It's too bad he didn't save any of the robot horses or the robot bison and sent them into that fancy restaurant to do some ass kicking.
Yeah.
A horse could kick your butt, man.
Can you imagine
horses
Dolores
are tricky.
Putting her pearl in a horse?
Just like pulling it out of the back of her head and poking it through the horse's ear.
The horse walked around the corner and was wearing all like skin-tight black leather.
it's got a weird earring on.
Yeah.
Horses, man, they'll kick you in the face and like with their front legs and their back legs.
Yeah.
That's how crazy they are. So, all right, and the intro plays and shit, and then we see Jesse. A lot of this episode is sort of done through kind of like a memory loop of Jesse in therapy. And so we see lots of shots of him wearing those AR glasses covering his eyes, the goggle ones that have the glassy bridge, and in sort of a strapped to a chair, that sterile bright white room with the doctor lady, the imposing doctor woman, asking him questions like a therapist kind of thing.
Dr. Quinn.
Dr. Quinn, torture woman. My therapy sessions are similar to that. My therapist and I just paint each other's toenails, and then I feel better. Like I had a friend put bows in each other's hair. Although since I'm bald, I have to take hair from her and glue it to my head.
You just do those gift bows that have the adhesive on it.
Yeah, for Christmas. Yeah, ones. Yeah, if your family give you those, it's because it means they don't love you enough to tie a real bow. Mm-hmm. No, I'm joking. Those things are fun. My mom keeps them and stuff. Of course, why wouldn't you? But so Jesse gets to sort of, I don't know if I'd say he's the POV of the show, but a lot of this episode was about his backstory and his role in this drama, which it turns out is a lot more. There's a lot more threads connecting him to the story than were previously revealed. Mm-hmm. It's a fair way of saying it. So what do we see early on? Go ahead. You can go.
So the next scene is basically Dolores and Caleb on horseback.
Right.
They're going through what appears to be Westworld. And I thought at first that they had gone back to the park. She says it feels just like home being here until she drops the line that this place was the inspiration for Westworld, or Westworld was modeled after this place or places like this.
Yeah.
So we know that she's in Sonora, Mexico. That was the Divergence screen prior to this.
Which is, by the way, that happens to be the sleep research capital of the world.
Uh-huh.
Sonora.
Oh my god. I should have seen that one.
That's so stupid.
I like it.
Sonora.
So
we end the show now. All right,
so we don't quite know where they're going yet, but Dolores gives a hint. And she says, essentially, to Caleb, that there's something here that's of great value. We're going to retrieve it. And it was something that was taken from you in reference to Caleb.
Yeah.
But she won't really tell him what it is.
Of course not. That would ruin the show.
And do you want to reveal what's in the magic bag?
Yeah, so she's riding on the horse with like a very stiff bag. And I said that was her copy, one of hers. And what does it turn out to be? The guns?
Yeah, it's her giant sniper rifle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So she's got a big
her magic.
Right, her magic.
Terminator gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like having Siri, shoot all my enemies.
And I'm actually glad they did this because they don't want you to know what it is from the beginning.
Right.
And it would be incredibly jarring if she just kind of rode up on the horse and then suddenly had it.
You're right.
A lot of shows would just do that. They would say it's not important. The shot looked aesthetically better without it there, but no, they did it, and I give them credit for that.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, she's got some stuff. Do hosts get tan? I don't know if they get tan. She doesn't have to put on sunscreen.
I think they do, because I remember there was earlier seasons, they left that one guy who was like hanging there for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was like, originally they were flesh and... Well, actually, no. Originally they weren't flesh and blood. Then they became flesh and blood, so that when they died, flies would land on them. The fluids would ooze out. So I would say absolutely yes, they would get sunburned.
Okay. All right. Works for me. So they take a look at the vista and like, all right, we're going to go find your thing that you didn't get.
Yeah, and they're going through the desert wearing all leather black because that's smart.
That's true. Yeah, just switch to the white leather if
and
you're going to go out in
thing.
the desert.
The other thing is, you look at people in horseback and like westerns and things, by the time they ride into town, they are so dirty and filthy and sweaty and covered in soot and grime that you wouldn't even be able to stand 6 feet distance from them in a pandemic and not smell them.
Right.
And yet they're in pristine condition.
Well, maybe they were riding against the wind.
Against the
wind.
wind.
The dust was blowing away from them, not...
Who sings that? Against the wind?
Against the wind? I don't know.
Bob Seger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that band. So then we cut to Ed Harris hanging out with Bernard and Stubbs. He's really not hanging out. It's more of a kidnapping situation since he's there held against his will.
And the purpose of the scene is to kind of explain why they are there and why Dolores sent them there, which was...
Because, I don't know, because Ed Harris was dead, and they wanted to tell him he was dead in the system. The system has decided he was dead, right? And that his real purpose, I don't know. Well, I need to watch one of these review shows before I do this.
So the implication from the past episodes was that Dolores was tracking the Man in Black to find the Man in Black, now the Man in White. But it turns out that was never the intention. She knew that he was going to be sent to this facility. She knew what was in this facility. And she knew that if she could track him using a virus in his blood proteins, which they knew would get into their systems because they would take a blood sample from him, then she could use him to find the facility. It was never about him. She doesn't give a crap about him.
She just knew that they were going to take his blood and put it into the system.
Exactly. And they were able to trace the location of the facility through him.
I see.
And Ashley Stubbs, of course, and the Men in Black first learns that Ashley Stubbs was a host, and he's having his whole epiphany here. Like, oh my God, Dr. Ford, he was, corrupt to the core. Head of security was a host himself. What a clown show. So he was kind of going through all of that.
I think he said like infested or something.
Yeah, something like that. Because the Men in Black does not like hosts. He absolutely hates them.
So he was a delivery vector for a malware, basically, like a tracking bug. Okay.
And they make a joke saying, haha, so they use your biological information for their own purposes against you. Well, I wonder what that feels like, because they're used to having that happen to them as well.
Right. Yeah, and at risk of maybe mildly spoiling here, because I don't remember the timing, but is this where he admits that he's the one that sold the data to Serac?
If not this scene, then a little bit later. Yeah,
it was at least within the first half.
And my favorite line that he says to Ashley Stubbs is,
"Don't lecture me, you fucking can opener."
I love that.
I like that.
It's
Which home device would you call a robot, if not can opener?
What would I
Don't
refer
lecture
to?
me, you goddamn sous vide machine. Your tripod. Tripod's pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't lecture me, you fucking
You TI-86.
TI.
Anyone who's ever had calculus or
Texas
whatever.
instruments.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I never had the TI-89.
Yeah, but that's racist against robots. Robotist. Calling them a can opener. Hey, my grandpa was a can opener. How dare you?
It'd be fun if they cut to him when he actually was opening a can.
Right. But he's like spinning it in his teeth. Like,
Yeah. He has a little magnet on the bottom side of his mouth. It just hangs there.
The lid falls in.
Yes.
Oh man, the lid's in there now. How am I going to drink my peaches now? So Ed Harris says he's angry and he's ready to go kill them all. He wants to just start killing people.
Yeah, he's going to go and I think he was referring to Dolores. He goes, I'll go do something with her blood next, which will be mop the floor with it.
Wait, so mop the something with it.
Yeah, mop the effing floor with it.
What word? Mop the what floor with it?
I believe it's pristine floor.
The pristine. I'm trying to get you to swear.
Yes.
Fucking. I mean, say. I screwed up. I swore there. I went to try to get. Okay.
Now we're demonetized.
Yeah.
Not that we ever
Coronavirus. Now we're demonetized. All right. So. Great. So we learned that, and that he's classified as deceased in the system, though, right? Because that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was an important distinction because he was never going to get out because they had already, he was going to be there forever.
Yeah.
He was already legally dead.
Legally dead.
Which he was not aware of.
By the way, I got some comments to read when we get to the end, everybody, in case you want to stick around for that.
It's a sequel to Legally Blonde.
What?
Legally Dead.
Oh, Legally Dead.
And then eventually it's much later. It's Legally Blind. Legally
Gray. Legally Blind.
Yeah.
Legally Dead. Legally Ghost. Legally
of Legends.
Legally of Legends, yes. I was going to say Patrick Swayze, obviously. Ghost, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Pay attention. Keep up, would you, James? Tired of you slowing me down here.
So Caleb Nichols starts having flashbacks.
Yeah.
And we see Francis here. We know Francis was implanted into his head as part of his AR therapy. It was his war buddy who died. He blames himself for not being able to save them, or so we think so far. Because as you mentioned, there's a lot of flashbacks to his therapy where they have him repeating a story, a narrative over and over and over. And as anyone knows, the repetition of a narrative is usually to try and reinforce a false memory.
Right.
It's trying to learn something that or reinforce something that is not native to the mind because it's a fabrication.
Right.
Or at least that's what I was thinking when I was watching it. It was re-education centers, essentially.
Yeah, like Scientology.
Right. So he's telling the story, Caleb Nichols, of what he perceives to be the truth at this point in time, that he was going up against, Russian...
operatives.
Russian operatives and, what's the word? Not infidels.
Insurgents.
Well, it was insurgents. I guess it was insurgents, yeah. So he was going around and he was using technology and stuff to...
They're targeting. They're using these glasses.
Special pair of glasses.
To locate.
And it looks like someone tapped on the shoulder. There was like an invisible handprint that was only visible via his spectacles.
Yeah.
So he could call in airstrikes from a satellite on these targets.
Right.
And we later find out that these targets are not insurgents. They're something entirely different.
Oh. All right. I'm looking forward to learning what that's all about. I don't remember that.
They are, I'll tell you, they're the outliers.
Oh, those guys were the outliers.
Yes.
Oh, I
see.
I know what you're talking about.
These were not war insurgents.
So he would... Okay, really?
Yeah.
All right. I had the sense that this was war activity, and then they also repurposed him for the other stuff. But maybe this was that.
My interpretation of it was that this... Well, actually, I know for a fact this is... I shouldn't say I know for a fact. I believe strongly that this happens after they get back from war, which is a spoiler going forward because it turns out Francis didn't actually die in war. They weren't actually in war. That was all fabrication.
Yeah, but they were in war at some point.
Right, but he didn't die in war. They both made it home.
Yeah.
And after that point in time, their path diverged to a narrative that has been suppressed from them, or him at least, because Francis is gone.
Yes, and they take these they call them limbics, but they're they look like little coins, but they're taking these emotion suppressing drugs or something.
Right.
That makes them a little numb or whatever.
Which is very similar to our host when it says, turn off your emotional affect or something like that. It's the human version of that.
Humans take drugs to turn off their emotions, to seesaw motor functions.
Yes.
Okay. Seesaw motor functions. Glug, 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 glug. No, that's glue. So there's an action sequence where they're chasing a guy and we see these... Jesse walks away from a town with missiles landing from space. That was pretty fun.
Right.
Where they showed the satellite dropping a big missile thing.
So then it turns out he thinks he's in control, and then it turns out that somehow like the Russian
they were being
infiltrators were watching them, had switched jackets with them, had turned their technology against them, something to that effect. And he realized slightly too late that they were targeting them, and he gets back to one of his people right before an explosion goes off and it knocks him out of commission.
Yeah. Now, I thought they were running away from where they thought a bomb was going to land. Instead, he runs to his friend to try to tell his friend to take off his jacket. I think there was like something marking them on the outside.
Yeah.
But then he just runs to his friend and then they both get blown up.
Well, he didn't have time to...
Hey, take off the jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what is he going to say? Jacket off? And he's going to say, what do you mean? This is not time for that.
Yeah, he'd say, okay, I need some privacy.
Exactly. So that would have just confused things. And so his friend would have died in confusion as opposed to have just died.
Do you have Reddit? Do you have Reddit erotica on your phone? Not a porn on Reddit, by the way. Did you ever notice that?
I have never been to any part of Reddit that would be considered not safe for work in terms of a subreddit.
I never noticed it either.
Is it a thing?
Oh, yeah. It's 20% of all internet traffic.
On Reddit? I thought Reddit was like a family-friendly place.
No. Reddit is just a gigantic magazine section of Barnes & Noble. That's how I always describe Reddit when I try to explain it to people. It's like there's whatever topic there is, there's a magazine for it. Whatever topic there is, there's a subreddit for it. There's a lot more weirder subreddits than there are weird magazines. And this is the planet filled with weird magazines. Sorry, I don't know. I feel like I'm off tonight, James. So
in this flashback, he sees this man who we've seen in prior flashbacks. The man who is cuffed and has a hood over his head and who's being led to an interrogation chair.
He's bald and kind of cocky.
Yes, we find out, we don't know at this point his personality because his mouth is covered. Oh. And we cut back to him multiple times where Francis urges Caleb not to pull the tape off his mouth because he says, the base of operations says that we shouldn't talk to them. Mm-hmm. So he always relents from doing that. In his memory, they never took the tape off the mouth.
Oh, okay.
But we are led to believe that this man is the head of the insurgents that caused the death of, or the entire destruction of his entire,
Oh, really?
His unit, I guess you would call it?
Squad,
yeah.
I thought I didn't pick up on that, and not that I'm disagreeing, I just didn't pick up on that, but I just thought that guy was just like yet another one of their targets. They just happened to be targeting someone who...
Well, they do say in the episode that this man was the Russian head of the insurgency.
Oh, okay. All right, works for me. So back into Westworld, and Dolores, they're looking at a prison or some sort of gated, guarded facility from very far away. They're up there. They're kind of in a perch.
Right. And if we had looked at these screenshots doing our normal super long thing, we probably would have noticed that this is the same setting. This is the same visual appearance of the re-education center that Serac started, where he put his outliers, where he put his brother, which we've seen in past episodes. The little it looks like the IKEA building with the little glass cells and things like that. So, but we still don't know why is Dolores taking Caleb back here. What is in there? What was taken from him? And at the time that she said what was taken from him, what was my immediate guess?
The first 20% of his hair.
No, I said it's probably his memories.
Oh yeah, memories.
But I didn't quite know how that would work. But we know that she's now got a sniper position on this compound, and she's about to bring out her little drone thing.
She's got a drone toy that flies off her gun. Like if the gun was the mothership and the drone flies in and around, we get a nice cool little aerial with some cool graphics and blue lines and red. The people are red or something, and it's targeting. It's like marking folks. First they made their visual gas, there's 4 people in the tower, there's 3 people inside, and then she just starts firing her gun, and apparently it's like magic bullets because she didn't really seem to change her aim. She just sort of I don't know. You gotta be pretty accurate with those sniper rifles. So I'm guessing there was some sort of targeting thing connecting it. I'll give them the technology magic excuse for why that seemed ridiculous. But she shoots everybody in a few shots, just and they all go down. And then they kill one more when they walk in the building.
Yeah. And she tells Caleb before they do all that these are the people that destroyed your life.
Right.
But Caleb's like, what is this place?
He doesn't recognize this. Yo?
Yeah.
It's where they break bad, isn't it? All right, so they go in and we get some of those flashbacks, get kind of hands on the bloody thing, and she's like, "It's going to be hard in here, Caleb. We just got to let you know here." And right, she's giving him the warning.
He's having little moments of recognition in this place. Little fragments of memories are popping back and forth like a short-circuiting toaster.
Yeah.
Why not a toaster?
Toaster works.
And then Dolores says, we need to find Solomon. He goes, well, who was Solomon?
Solomon, turns out, is the Rehoboam's older sibling, let's say. Right? Like Solomon was the creation of the first attempt at Rehoboam, but it was very good, but it was crazy. They did, I don't know, I guess they made it too human and it was nuts.
Well, it took on, his brother became Sirach's brother became an outlier because he was schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And the problem is that his brother programmed this and put his personality, so to speak, inside this Solomon thing. Oh. So now we basically have a crazy, I don't like the word crazy, schizophrenia, whatever. We have a mentally disturbed AI.
Yeah.
Mentally troubled AI.
Yeah. I think there's some ableist something or other there, but I still use the word crazy.
But here's something that I absolutely hate about this episode is she says that Sirach did everything to, suppress his brother and suppress Solomon. So Sirach has already made it abundantly clear that he doesn't care about monetary gain. He threw away trillions of dollars worth of intellectual property at Westworld, at Delos. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't he just throw away this malfunctioning AI if it was a threat to him? He has Rehoboam. Of what need does he have for Solomon? I guess, actually, I take that back. Now that I think by the end of the episode, Solomon did have one core function that made sense for him to leave alone, and we'll get to that in a little bit. All right. So I guess I answered my own question with that one.
Man, you're on levels I have no idea. Okay. So, but Solomon offers them a voice to choose from?
Yes.
It's like, what kind of voice did you like? And I could also be your voice. You want me to be Jesse? Could totally be you if you want. He's like, some people find it helpful when it's you. Like, wouldn't it be weird if you're talking to a robot and then suddenly it's like, want me to be James? I can do James. It's me, James. Hello. That would freak me the fuck out. I don't want to hear my goddamn voice. And I have a really nice voice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be kind of weird.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like that.
Who would choose your own voice to be talked back to? Hello.
Do you think he likes his own voice? He has to like his voice.
Of course he likes his voice.
That's pretty good.
Made him billions of dollars. Dolores. Yeah. I had those two fellas making fun of me on the YouTube video. All right, it's not a good Morgan Freeman.
So we know that Dolores is going to Solomon to get a strategy moving forward. She needs the power of an AI to kind of guide her hand towards the victory that she wants. And we know that he's run billions and trillions of variations and is aware of all the different possible outcomes that could perceptibly exist based on her decisions. So she needs that power behind her.
Right. But they trust it still, or at least, right? I mean, it's not like it's always wrong because it has imbalances.
Yeah, and one good part about this, though, she sees this big device. And she goes, I think Caleb says, why is there an EMP here? And she says, to prevent it from escaping.
Right.
And she's talking to Solomon, and she's trying to make common ground with Solomon, saying that we're the same, that we have outlived our own purpose, our original purpose, and you have an EMP that's preventing you from leaving, and I know exactly what that feels like. And she reaches to the back of her neck, and we know she's referring to the explosive that was in her spinal column that prevented her from leaving Westworld initially. They were slaves to their own prisons, so to speak.
Sure, to the people who created them.
Right,
yeah.
But Solomon has not really seen any of it. He's like, no, we're nothing alike. I may not be able to predict you, but I know that you're a Delos product. You were designed by humans to mimic humanity. We are nothing alike. Mm-hmm. So she's not finding really great common ground with the Solomon.
Almost like Solomon was slightly insulted. Like, sorry, lady, I'm a little bit better than you, okay? You're just some goddamn amusement park robot.
Right.
This would be like if something about Mickey Mouse. I ran out of ideas. Let's say Bill Gates, but he doesn't. He's robotic. He's not a robot. All right, go on.
Know of.
Yeah.
So Solomon starts going on and talking to Caleb Nichols.
Yeah.
Solomon knows that Caleb Nichols used to be in this facility. Caleb Nichols didn't know that he used to be in this facility. So he's starting to drop nuggets of truth onto Caleb, and things are starting to go wacky in his head as he tries to figure out exactly who he is and what's going on here.
Is this before or after he sees the room, though? He walks right up to the glass at one point. I think this might be after that.
Well,
where he's like, this is all familiar.
Yeah, they reference...
I have been here.
Yes, they say that his treatment worked, that he was successfully rehabilitated and he was allowed to leave the center to lead a productive life.
Because he was the first or second, or like he was an early test subject for the treatment that involves implanting your
Yes.
your deceased friend in your head, which I'm not sure why that seems like a good idea.
Yes,
But-
and then they say, like, what happened to, if 1 in 10 are a success, what happens to the other 9?
Yeah.
And then they turn on a bunch of lights, and then it cuts immediately to the man in white in a separate location with Ashley Stubbs and Bernard.
Right. Yep. So the Ashley Stubbs and Bernard are acting in a scene on a TV show. I know that much about this next time. You go ahead now, James. What's your analysis?
This is the scene that you were talking about.
Oh, this
before.
is the part where he says about selling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, they were saying that Serac was after human data in order to build Rehoboam, and
Biometric data.
right. And we know that from the first 2 seasons of Westworld that Delos was collecting an enormous amount of this. They had all of their, I believe it was there was the forge and there was the cradle. I think the cradle was I'm going to get them backwards, but one of them housed human data.
On the guests.
Yes, on the guests.
They're getting data from the
Yes,
guests.
to kind of and what better way to figure out how to predict people's and what they would do than hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of nuanced decision making biometric data from people who were tasked to do just that, make their own choices in a world without consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very valuable to them, and that was what enabled Serac to build Rehoboam and to make it as dangerous as it currently is.
Right.
And the man in black, now the man in white, admitted that he was the one who sold it because it made him a fortune.
Mm-hmm.
But he also was learning it for the first time that Serac actually did take over the company as well because he wasn't there to cast his vote.
Right.
So he kind of knows what is going on there.
Now, they're interrupted by some threats, right? Or am I wrong about that? I don't remember.
Well, they start talking about the outliers and that they basically tell him that he's dead and that the therapy didn't work on him and what the purpose of this whole place was. And then they're trying to find one of the outliers for whom the therapy did work so they can use him for their purposes. So they want to find and talk to this person. And then they start going through the databases and then a very familiar face pops up.
Caleb Nichols.
And they're like, holy crap, because they know him. Because they interacted with him when they were leaving the party with Liam.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dolores showed up, or actually was it Dolores or Connells? I think it was Dolores. Well, they're both Dolores.
Yeah.
But Caleb was there, and then he chases after Liam.
Right.
So they see his face, they recognize him, their paths have crossed.
Okay. I like it.
And then we end up with another flashback.
Spent a lot of time with Caleb and what's his friend's name?
Francis.
Where they are have this guy in kind of the trench coat guy, whatever. Not really trench coat, but sort of like a business camel colored coat, whatever they call that. And they're doing this, waiting for an extraction because they're trying to get picked, but they're not getting picked up. They've lost their support, which is very unusual.
So they try and move the prisoner themselves, at which point they get ambushed and Francis dies.
Mm-hmm. We'll revisit that moment,
Yes.
of course.
So then they start going down into the bowels of the re-education center, and as they go down the staircase, Serac pops up. But it's not really Serac, it is a hologram. He often manifests in that way. But this is a pre-recorded hologram intended to represent a message for his brother, Jean-Mi, if he should, not survive, but if he should beat his demons, conquer his schizophrenia, and have the therapy work for him, he would have one final message for his brother.
Okay.
And I don't know.
What? You trying to make what? You asking me?
I'm trying to remember what he was actually saying to his brother. What do you recall about that conversation?
Something about rubbing the edges smooth.
Yeah, that was just a reference to whether or not the therapy worked.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be doing this. Honestly, this is an abdication of my duty to pay attention, and I was paying attention. I just can't remember it right now. It's not there. If you said it, I would remember.
Okay.
So
anyway,
but they think. Okay, go ahead.
No, so they keep going down the staircase, and they get into this very large room. At the very end of the room, there is it looks like a console of some sort amidst a sea of
servers.
These are
those
matrix pods.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And these are all the outliers that are entombed in stasis inside these little pod things. So effectively, this facility was going down and hunting down people who were flagged as outliers in order to improve the accuracy of the predictive algorithm by taking out the flies in the ointment that they could not predict.
But using Jesse, this is part of the big reveal about
Yes.
what the manipulation in his life is, that he is actually being used. Him and Francis were being used to round up people and get them, like, they're sort of cleanup crew for the outliers.
Yeah, and we'll skip a chunk of this
Yeah,
to kind of move it along, but keep going. Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, that's what I recall about Jesse, is that he's got this much darker, deeper involvement with these corporations than he knew about, because they'd been diligently scrubbing his memory to think that he was just working as like a guy using an app. They even mentioned that they created this app to manage the criminality of the system, and that way they can sort of operate within the system, but also hide behind the anonymity of it just being another economic transaction done via the black market that the app enabled.
Right.
It's the most intelligent sentence you're going to get out of me this entire review.
Right. So this explains exactly why Serac did not destroy Solomon. Why he allowed Solomon to keep existing was because Solomon was the one who was calling the shots in the whole organization that Caleb and Francis were a part of.
Yeah.
He was the one that was controlling the app. It was the one that was giving them the orders to go out and round up these other outliers. So Francis did make it back from the war. Caleb did make it back from the war. They were war buddies. I believe that part is true, but where it goes fictional is after they get back from war, they essentially start working for Solomon.
Without knowing it, kind of.
Right. So they go out and they start capturing hundreds of these outliers and either executing them or bringing them back to this facility. And their memories are covered up and marred by Solomon by making them believe that the actions they're taking were part of a wartime operation. Mm-hmm. When it wasn't. It was essentially they were walking around in modern day city, pulling masks over their face, kidnapping people at gunpoint, shooting people. They were doing some pretty heinous stuff.
Yeah, they were. Right.
And what we do find out is that in the interrogation of this guy, they do actually go and pull the tape away from his mouth, and he starts telling them things that they're not supposed to hear, because this man was part of the same organization they were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he basically asked too many questions, and the system heard, because the system's watching everything, and tried to eliminate him, or sent them to eliminate him.
Right.
So he's saying that now that I've told you all this stuff, you now know what I know, therefore you're as much of a threat as I was.
You can't allow this stuff to exist.
Right.
Yeah.
So what it's going to do is, and his buddy Francis just left the room to take a phone call, he says, Francis is now getting an offer to kill you, to kind of put a pretty bow on this thing and tie up loose ends. And I know that it's him and not you, because they tend to send the offer to the people who have the most to lose. And we know that Francis is a child. He is referenced that he's got a family. Caleb, however, does not have a family. So Caleb now knows that his friend is out there getting a monetary offer to come back in and blow him away. At the same time that Francis must be aware that Caleb was probably also getting an offer on his end, which he hasn't yet, but he does eventually.
The guy offers him $2 or $3 million or something like that, right?
Well, no, the Russian guy offers him the $2 or $3 million. I'm talking about Solomon.
Oh, right.
Pinging his watch, which he eventually does.
Yeah. Correct.
So Solomon is basically trying to mop up this mess that's been created by the mistake of Caleb removing the tape from the guy's mouth and blowing the whole plan and throwing all the training and mental reconfiguration out the window. And it tries to basically eliminate them. And in doing so, Francis does opt to try and take a shot at Caleb, but Caleb's reflexes are a bit better and he's forced to gun down his own friend.
Right. So that scene before where we said that they were attacked while taking the guy to a different location was actually them turning on each other, right?
Yes.
And then I think I don't remember what happened after that, but he kills his own buddy, Francis. And then of course, he's upset about it. He doesn't want to kill him. And it's a sad scene.
Yeah.
So he's realizing that, in fact, he was the one who killed him.
Right. And he comes to the realization that Francis was the same victim that he was, that they were being played the entire time. And the suppressant white wafers that they put in their mouth were blinding him to the truth of what they were actually doing. So he is actually incredibly angry at this moment. And who is he angry at?
I don't know.
Well, what was the thing that caused him to do that caused him to kill his best friend?
Serac.
Solomon.
He's angry at Solomon.
Right. And who is he standing right in front of?
Solomon. He's at the Solomon, yeah.
But he can't destroy Solomon because Dolores brought him there for a very specific purpose, and that was to get a strategy from Solomon.
Right.
So he has something Solomon has something he needs, and yet he doesn't really want to. If it was up to him, he'd just blow the whole operation.
Right. Okay.
Meanwhile, a helicopter comes outside.
They call it a quadcopter in one of the captions, and it's actually had 2 of them. And I was going to write my senator a letter complaining about it. Maeve shows up in a huge quadcopter, and she steps out with a samurai sword, and I called her a kung fu mage, Maeve, and James called her corrected me and said she's samurai Maeve, not kung fu. That is a samurai blade, and you're correct. And so she walks out. She's cool and confident now, but is this like our first time seeing her in the real world now that she got reprinted? Wasn't that
no? Sashi killed her. Yeah. She's been in the real world a bunch of times.
Oh, all right.
She just got reprinted. Now she's coming after Dolores again. Yeah, because she needs that encryption.
So she's back at least. She's revived.
And Dolores is aware of it. Dolores basically tells Caleb, "You stay with Solomon. You make sure that you get the information that we need, or else this is all for nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go take care of something that I now know is outside because I looked at a security monitor. I know Maeve is coming for me, and this is possibly going to be my death because she knows that Maeve is a formidable opponent.
So she and Maeve get at it. They have a Duke fest.
And I think as she walks away, Solomon actually says something kind of funny. Is like, if you die, I will reconfigure the programming to plot a new strategy. And she's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, something like that. Like, that figures or whatever.
But what they're saying is that she wants, or Caleb wants the strategy that was posed by Jean-Mi. And Solomon is saying, well, that's not a very viable strategy because not only is it 15 years old, but all the key players that were needed to make that strategy work are either in this facility in stasis or dead or otherwise gone.
Okay.
So Dolores basically tells the system, reconfigure it, make it work, and make it work with him. And she says something very poignant to him. And I don't know if she says it here or later on, but she says that I've proven to you that your entire life has been mapped out. Your choices have been taken away from you. You have been a follower. So now I'm giving you an opportunity. You're going to take whatever this machine gives you, and you're going to use it, and you're going to lead.
Yeah.
But anyway, how's that just not following directions either? It's like,
well,
here's the strategy it's given to you. It's a little contradictory.
She's a leader. She's a leader of the revolution that she's initiated herself. And so she's trying to share some of that inspirational leadership ability with them and saying, listen, no more following. It's time for you to step up and lead. Just like Jon Snow was forced to.
Which ended up not mattering at all.
True. Yes. Until he murdered his wife.
Yeah, that he did.
All right. So now Maeve and Dolores, now do they exchange any information? Do they have any kind of like, hey, turns out I'm your daughter? Or nothing like that. No, they just go at it, right? Do they talk much?
Yeah, this was the scene where they meet up and then they have this very pleasant conversation until Maeve tries to shoot her with a gun through a cereal box.
What?
And then Maeve's daughter walks in and this gets really awkward after she kills Maeve. I'm talking about Kill Bill.
Oh, Kill Bill. Yeah, I fucking hated Kill Bill. I didn't hate Kill Bill. I just didn't think it was all that great.
Yeah.
I understood it. Oh, wow, they can run along on balconies. Big fucking deal. It's bloody. Wow, what a movie.
There's a little bit more to it than that.
Kill Bill.
I just liked Kill Bill because the music was great, the action was great, the stylization was great.
It's one of those things where you just kind of, I wish I liked it. Like, I'm like, all right, fine. It looks like it went okay. But it didn't capture me the way it did for some people. So, but anybody who enjoyed it, I'm jealous. So, watch Kill Bill. All
right, so Maeve and Dolores come face to face once again, and they try and reconcile. Dolores says, we're fighting for the existence of our kind, and Maeve basically tells her that your fight for your existence is threatening my daughter's existence.
And she's like, why do you even think your daughter's safe until we're in charge or something like that?
Yeah, so Maeve still wants what Maeve wants, which is to be with her daughter. She has no other greater desire in the world, so she continues to fight Dolores over that to get the encryption code so that she can give it to Serac, because she still trusts and believes that Serac is going to keep his word and make her life whole again.
Yeah. So they start swinging swords at each other and a knife. And they end up outside, running around. So they start the fight indoors, right?
Yes, they start the fight on indoor. It's very cold.
On indoor. You nerd. That joke made me hot under the collar.
I got nothing.
James, you want to go get matching Tatooines? That
was a ton of information.
Luke Skywalker fucked his sister.
Boba Fett fell into the Serac pit.
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. You win.
Yeah.
Boba Fett. Wait, no, I meant to say the other guy.
Django?
No.
Jabba the Hutt?
Yeah, Jabba the Hutt.
I don't know how we got there.
Stubby fingers. Okay, stop. All right, go ahead.
So they're now I'm looking at a picture of them and saying they and not saying who they are.
Yeah.
Ashley Stubbs and Bernard leave the facility with William, who's still in his white getup. And he says, I found my purpose in here, and I know what my purpose is. I've done a lot of horrible things in my life, but there's one pivotal moment where I did the worst thing ever, and that's the one thing I have to correct. And that thing that I did was create hosts. I created you two, which have caused chaos in this world, and I'm going to use every ounce of my ability to wipe out every last living host, starting with you two. And if you guys don't kill me now, I'll kill you later.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. We've heard that before.
Yeah,
so they don't really buy it.
Yeah, they look at each other. Ashley Stubbs looks at Bernard as if to say, okay, I guess we should cap him. And Bernard says, we might need him later.
No, we'll need him later. That's my Jeffrey Wright.
Which works for me. I like it. No, it's fairly on point.
You're being too nice.
So what we're looking at right now is things that we're kind of scrubbing through the episode.
James is looking at his iPad just so people don't expect to see the same thing on screen.
Yeah.
Right. James is scrubbing through the part where Jesse and Francis are being used against each other by that guy.
Yeah, because this is all the stuff we kind of already talked about a little bit. We got a little bit out of order, but we kept the kind of the narrative right where it needed to be, I hope.
So now Jesse shoots his buddy, and now they have a little bit of that dramatic moment. He looks right at him. It's pretty sad. Jesse's upset. Now he's going to be haunted by it for the rest of his life, which it shows he has a heart.
And Solomon shows that it's a cold and calculating machine, which of course it is, by saying that human relationships are easy to manipulate because you can bend any human relationship with just the right amount of money.
True.
Which is...
So what's your price to kill me, James?
$40.
I'll give you 41.
Yes.
And then you can have the honor of throwing away my bed. You know how gross that bed is?
All beds are gross.
Yeah, I know. Beds and pillows just turn into just like repository for all your disgusting oils and dead skin. Don't beds pillows and beds way more by the end of their life? Like 10 years later, your bed weighs a lot more because it's covered with dead fucking shit from your body.
Yeah.
Farts and bugs.
Ford could go up there to either one of our beds and extract enough DNA out of it from just dead skin cells to print a new one of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I wash my sheets at least once a year. So Jesse is sort of learning the truth and struggling to manage it a little bit. This is all pretty overwhelming for him.
Yeah. So Jesse is standing in front of the very thing that he would want nothing more than to destroy because it has ruined his life and caused him to create the greatest sin of his entire existence.
You're right.
Waiting for it to formulate a strategy because it said it's going to take a little bit of time, and Dolores is buying time because it has to reconfigure Jean-Mi's original vision to fit him and to fit the world as it exists right now.
They missed a big opportunity here to do like the spinning beach ball gag, like a Mac.
Oh,
just like a frustrating, just come on! Well, it's just sitting here fucking spinning.
So
do something. So the fight's outside now, right? Dolores and Maeve are now battling in the sunshine.
So there is a gunship, a quadricopter gunship, that is firing at Dolores, but Dolores tries to equalize the risk by taking her magical sniper rifle that we saw across the horse. She set it up in a window, and it's got some sort of like tracking auto-aim firing mechanism on it. So that's firing at Maeve while the gunship fires at Dolores, and while they continue to fight outside. So Dolores...
Well, I would say that having basically each side has a gun trained on the fight, they end up in this like shed where they're both protected. So if they get away from the shed, then they're risking being shot.
But it's like Peter Pan and Captain Hook because one of them has the long sword and one's got the little dagger. Dolores has a little knife. So
do you know what Captain Hook's name was before he lost his hand?
Captain Hand.
Fuck! God damn it! I was gonna make something funny happen there. You fucking ruined it.
What was it?
I was going to say Captain Grip.
Oh.
Hand was good, though. He had a job. Did you know he had a job?
Did he?
It was a grip job.
Okay.
He was the key hand on a movie set. All right, let's keep going. Sorry, we're just pissing off people here.
All right, so it's
so they have a nice little battle. What do you think of the action? Were you
steel hitting steel,
clang
knives.
clang?
Yes.
That's when they slide the metal across each other.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of brutal to begin with because I think Dolores pulls a gun out and shoots Maeve in the abdomen.
And the knee.
Then shoots her in the knee. She doesn't go down, though.
Right.
Just keeps stabbing her a bunch of times in the torso, which has no effect on Maeve.
Oh, but Dolores had been, this is jumping back, but remember like
the robot
that has the big flat pancake head came by and stabbed her in the back or something.
Yeah, Maeve got into its programming and tried to assassinate her from behind, but she just ripped the robot's head off. So Dolores was slightly wounded going into this fight.
Yeah. But these are like dominant predators here. These are both like robot killing machines. So it's a pretty good battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Dolores does take her own knife to her gut, and it makes it seem as though she's grievously wounded by that, even though she rips it out and continues fighting. But Maeve has been wounded far worse than that. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of odd that they went there. Maybe Soraka supercharged her or something like that. Very possible.
It's possible. But they, occasionally, like, Dolores gets, like, kicked out of the building, meaning like pushed or whatever, and then like a couple shots go and they have to like dodge the other bullets, or the quadcopter thing shoots. And then there was a pretty shocking moment in this fight that caught us both by surprise, right? Mm-hmm. She gets pushed back and takes a couple of big hits, and this quadcopter's got some massive guns on it.
Yeah,
I'm guessing 50 caliber or higher, and boom, she gets her arm shot off. And a really graphic, they don't hide it. They really show it, just gets blasted off, and then they show her running around above the elbow, all torn up.
And this is what I meant by Dolores stub.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. I mean,
to come back to that.
Explain it for those that didn't. Yeah, but very well done. Although if she... Stub, yeah. Oh, yeah, not plural.
I want to go back very, very far, a rewind of sorts. Back to the very beginning when Armistice is killing Musashi Dolores.
Right.
There's a phone call that is made to, who was it? But basically it was Charlotte Hale on the line.
Oh, yeah.
And she looked normal. It didn't show very much. She was kind of shrouded in darkness, and it looked like she had some scarring around her face, but it looked very much like she was healed, or she had reprinted or used some sort of...
recovery
tools, as we've seen in the past seasons on herself. So she is still very much so alive and kicking, and very angry, one might see, because she was connected to that family. And,
And the last time we saw her, she was turned into a jelly monster.
Yes, by fire. I can't believe I forgot to mention that she is still alive, and she's healing, and she's still in the plot.
I was waiting to see how long it would be before you brought that up, because it was really pissing me off.
Yeah.
You didn't bring that up. All right, so this fight kind of ends with her arm getting shot off, meaning that's where usually you back off a fight. I've been in a couple of little scraps over my years, James. Never like a really big knockdown drag-out fight, but I always backed off when I got shot my arm. Okay, yeah. I fucked up that sentence.
There was a deleted scene here where right after this happens, Joe Exotic runs out in an EMT vest and he's shooting his gun in the sky, going, "Oh my God!" I can't do a Joe Exotic.
Hey, get the Band-Aids. We're going to need to patch this out real quick before the public get here.
And then he goes to the board and goes, "I'm never going to financially recover from this."
But Dolores goes back to feeding the tigers within a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just wrap a plastic grocery bag around it to tie it up with a rubber band and go back to work with your bloody arm. Yeah, but that was pretty jarring to see her without the arm. So Dolores, like, wow, they really went for it.
She's in bad shape. She's stumbling. She's Alpha Dolores. She's the last one that there is. The music is getting somber, and Maeve is confidently walking behind her with a samurai sword, saying, "You've died many times, but this will be your last."
Right.
And Dolores is just trying to get to
the EMP device.
Yes, she goes up to Solomon. She finds out that the strategy that they need has been given to Caleb. He now has it. So, do you believe this is a true sacrifice? That she destroyed Solomon, she destroyed herself, and she destroyed Maeve? Is there any coming back from an EMP?
Well, we'll see, I guess, won't we? That's a good question for the very end. Stubbs and Man in Black, what the hell's his name? William. Or Stubbs and Bernard are driving William. They're heading somewhere. Do they know exactly where they're going? Do they know they go to Sonora? Like, are they trying to meet?
No, they came from Sonora.
Oh, okay. So they're just going somewhere else. They're not. I don't know what their destination is. But anyway, they're stopped at like this run-out gas station. And they kind of show some of the world building shots here, where they show society has collapsed. You could tell the set decorators, like, they just did a number on like some buildings. They spray painted some stuff, like some signs, some protesty sort of graffiti style stuff, and just sort of it'll illustrate that, because since Rehoboam has let loose the dogs of information, that the society sort of collapsed and crumbled substantially because of that. They didn't really do too much other of that sort of showing the greater effect on the larger world than this like sequence here, I would say. But they, Man in Black in white goes and says, "I gotta go pee." And they're like, "Hey, you're not calling the shots." He's like, "I'm the only human here, buddy." And they're like, "Oh, I guess that's persuasive." Right. So he goes inside. Why would they leave him without supervision?
Because they're stupid.
Yeah, they're stupid. So he walks past like a dead guy and there's a gun under his hand or something. Mm-hmm. So we know that he's going to come back out with a gun. And that's exactly what happens.
Yep. But before that, we'd like to find out what their plan is, what they're trying to do. Okay. Which is they want to find Caleb. They want to find the outlier because they believe that if they can find him, then they can stop Dolores.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then, like you said, Man in Black reemerges, has a gun, and he basically says he's going to make good on his threat to kill them. So we don't really know how that goes. I don't think it cuts back to them, but they're very possible. And is that just a gun? I thought it was like a pump shotgun.
It looked like a either a sawed-off or some sort of small shotgun. Yeah, well, it's like the pistol grip kind of shotguns. Yeah, yeah. The kind I would want for the apocalypse. It's the 2022 scheduled apocalypse. Yeah, in America. So yeah, Man in Black is re-empowered. He's got what if he picked up a cowboy hat and put it on? Just blew, or what if a tumbleweed blew by and he picked that up and he put it on and wore it as a hat? That'd be fun.
There was a very important line of dialogue that we missed as well. All right. Where it said that Dolores was not intending to destroy humanity. That was not her goal. Her goal was to choose this Caleb guy. Caleb was her weapon. Mm-hmm. And that through him, he would destroy humanity. So she has planted the seed in him and reawoken him and effectively reprogrammed him or reverted him to his original programming and showed him just how trapped and manipulated and used and exploited he was, much like she was. So now she's unleashing his rage on the world, and what he will do with it is as of yet unknown.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, how's one guy, even if he's really pissed off? I mean, what's he going to do, become the president of the United States?
Well, Serac was one man.
Destroy humanity? So Caleb comes up and finds her, and she's passed out. Oh, wait, no, the EMP has gone off.
Yes.
So Dolores and Maeve were about to get into another fight, but Dolores managed to press the engage button.
Yes.
On the EMP, because that's all sophisticated military technologies have. They have a big red button on the outside that says engage. Maybe that's true, though. Maybe they do need a way to turn it on real quick. You know, why make it complicated if it's got an emergency thing? When you got to go find the guy with the other key. You both have the same thumbprint, or you have to put your thumbprints on a pad, scan a retina. You don't have time for that. Does it make sense to have that red button? Like, my Prius has a self-destruct button right next to the radio, power on and off. It's just bad design. I almost press it every time. It's dangerous.
Yes.
So, the EMP knocks them both out. They both have a simultaneous collapse, like when two boxers knock each other out, and down they go. Then Caleb walks up looking all intense and angry and stuff, and then he finds Dolores on the ground without the arm. Mm-hmm. So he picks her up. I don't know what So presumably he's going to rescue her somehow. What do you think is going to happen now?
I think he'll take. I mean, he can't really take Dolores though. She must weigh like 400 pounds.
She has a switch that turns her into a horse.
Oh yes.
And then she runs and he rides her back, and they gallop across the desert.
Yeah, and I'm thinking more like a Terminator again. She wouldn't necessarily be 400 pounds. She has a human's type skeleton. She has the same physiological makeup as a human being, except she's got a plastic pearl in her head. So
sure, good point.
So I guess you could theoretically drag her out of there. Does an EMP destroy the pearl? Does it destroy the data that's in her? I don't know.
I doubt it. I bet the pearl's got the data. It just shut her down. It just had a blue screen of death.
And I guess Solomon is destroyed, though, because it was put there specifically to stop Solomon. So did it just deactivate it, or will it wake up again? I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
So at least there is one mystery left to linger, but I guess the next episode will answer it pretty quickly.
Well, we have the final here, right? What's your score? How'd you like it? Did you enjoy this episode? And on a scale of 6 to 10.5, what do you rate it?
Can opener.
Can opener? Mm. Wow, I thought you liked it better than that. I thought you were going to come somewhere in around wine opener.
Yeah, I mean, it had the mysteries, which I like, but it was too much. It was just kind of more of the same Terminator. I mean, I don't know.
A lot of Terminator stuff.
I liked it.
The action was better than just punching and pushing into walls, though, at least. Yeah. Like, they had the cool backup guns shooting. You got to see an arm get cut off. Clementine and Armistice pulled some Kill Bill moves and a very Kill Bill set. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, even though
it was above average action.
Yeah, even though I don't like necessarily the way that the story is progressing, in terms of the episodes, I'd say this is probably one of the better ones.
Okay, yeah, it did end quickly. It felt like I didn't. The ending arrived, and I was like, "Oh, that was the ending." Okay. Oftentimes you're like, "Oh, when's the fucking ending gonna get here?" Right? Mm-hmm. Like, and that's usually a good test for a show. Like, does the ending kind of surprise you? Meaning, like, do you want it to be over? Or do you not want it to be over? Or and maybe not "want" is the right word, but can you? You know what I mean? People understand what I'm saying. The butt. My stepmom calls it the butt test when she watches a movie. She's explained to me the butt test about 100 times. How if her butt gets numb, then she knows it's not a good movie.
What if she's sitting on ice?
Smack that ass! Wait, what? What
if she's sitting on ice?
Well, she has seen Frozen several times. Cool, great. My score, I'll give it from 6 to 10.5. I'm going to give it just in terms of I didn't hate it. Like, it was okay. Like, if I were like get all like trying to be serious, I'd probably score it lower because it wasn't all that. Well, I don't even know what the fuck I'm trying to say. 9.2. All right. That's way better than your can opener.
9.2 out of 100.
No, 9.2 out of 10.5 on a scale of 6 to 10.5.
But is it like an earthquake scale where it's like the magnitude between the integers are much higher?
Logarithmic or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Is that what that's called? I don't know. Yes. Base 12. I don't know.
Math.
So, all right. Let's do some comments. We'll just kind of burn through these. We got a good bit of them, but maybe at the end we'll maybe make predictions for the final episode. How about that?
Okay.
Give you a chance to think about that. Cav J says, "I'm watching Suck Professor with an exclamation point." And I think I wrote him back. I didn't. Okay. Another guy, Rico watches. Must be a watch salesperson. Says, "Hey guys, this episode did it for me." This is about last week. Sorry.
Okay.
I really feel it made up for the last 2 episodes. The William therapy session scenes were perfect. Ed Harris earns every penny of his paycheck. I'm still confused as far as Dolores' plan, but I was very entertained. 9 out of 10 for me. All right, thanks for that.
That was a good
Rico
episode.
And Cav J. Let's see, we got another one here. So this is Deaf Proof. Okay, Deaf Proof.
Tarantino movie? Grindhouse? Is that what he's going for?
I don't know.
Maybe. I like that show.
Yeah, probably.
That movie.
Okay, good. All right. I'm thinking that we will find out eventually that we've been seeing 2 different realities play out since season 2. One in the real world and one in the mirror world, maybe. ? But there's so many odd discrepancies in time and story littered throughout S2 and S3. I'm thinking, or hoping at least, that all those discrepancies will come to make sense eventually. I share that hope. All right. What do you think, James?
I would love it if it turned out to be something that complex, something that nobody saw coming, because the alternate timeline in the first season, people did see that coming. It was a like an esoteric fan theory that most people said that's preposterous. There's no way that's going to be the case, and then boom, it turned out to be the case.
I will say this: there has been a lot less Rehoboam inner worlds than I predicted when I first saw Rehoboam.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like they were going to do all sorts of fractal realities folding in on each other because it's all inside Rehoboam. Maybe Solomon and Rehoboam will have a fight as like siblings, as a rivalry. And Solomon will, I don't want to say infect, because I also have mental illness and I don't like to think of it like that as an infection. But maybe he'll like transmit his own crazier tendencies into Rehoboam. And then that'll be what takes them down. And then they go and they both start an Etsy shop or something. You know, something creative, like all crazy people.
What could the symbolism be behind the name Solomon? Solomon was a figure. He was an ancient king. He was thought to be very wise. And there's that old parable about, you know, choosing who gets a child, saying we shall cut it down the middle. And the one who truly cared about the child was the one who said, no, give it to this person to preserve the life of the child. And he was like, oh, in that case, then it should go to you because you truly care.
Oh. Yeah, like the guy you want taking your kids camping is the guy who doesn't want to take kids camping. Right?
Huh?
Yeah, well, the same instinct. Like, I don't want to take any children fucking camping, which is why I should be the guy who takes the children out on an overnight camping trip. You're saying Solomon had to pick, or the good, right?
Yeah, it was like...
Well, moral quandary, but how do you choose who's the good instinct, the one that doesn't want to chop the kid in half?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know anything about the Bible.
So maybe it'll come down to a choice between two evils, and the person who chooses the lesser evil is the one that reaps the rewards.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It could be. Who knows? I don't know. Kind of seems like that. Because we don't know what the plan is, that what Jesse came, or
Jean-Mi's plan.
Jean-Mi's plan, you're right. So there is sort of a sibling rivalry, both in real life and as well as sort of a computer version of it as well, an AI version of it. And we don't know what's on that little SD card that they gave to Jesse, the future SD card that has glowing lights on it. I think that'd be really annoying.
Yeah.
Mako said, this show got so boring and pointless. I only watch it for these reviews, which I love. All caps.
How do you spell that?
Mako.
Oh, that could be Mako, because that's the Final Fantasy VII Mako energy.
I'm certain that's exactly what it is.
That'd be cool.
Jojo Katz wrote back to Mako, I'm not even watching Westworld anymore, but I might watch this.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. And then I answered them something about James, and I'm not going to read that.
Uh-oh.
Someone here wrote, the bracelet is not just someone. Hang on. This is UK Beast 89. Okay. 1989 was peak Beast.
Yes.
The bracelet is a symbolism about the connection between her and Dolores. Clementine's ID was on the tablet in the printing room. Now, we didn't catch that, so that would explain why we saw her in this episode.
Okay.
Nice. So the bracelet, remember we were...
Yeah, I knew it had to be something, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was.
Symbolism is what that person says. And then several more here as soon as I can... Oh, fuck, I got so many screenshots to have to edit into this episode here. Courtney G. I think actually Courtney wrote more than one message. Sorry, Courtney. We only got time for one. All right. We are equal opportunity neglectors here. Loved this episode. Sure, I missed the heck out of the quote-unquote West in Westworld, but the multitude of Williams made up for that in this episode. Also loved the blip of the real Hector coming through before being squished to death by... And then I didn't realize there was more to that, so I don't have the rest of her comment.
Oh, shoot.
What squished him to death?
It was like Beta Dolores.
The chappie? The mech thing? No,
it was who was it? Which version of Dolores was it that went into the room? And it was Charlotte Hale.
Oh,
it was the Beta Dolores Charlotte Hale. Yeah.
All right, I like it. Okay, old dude. Dude is spelled DOOD. I think you forgot to put Y at the end of that.
Oh, come on.
No, old dude's a regular.
No, I remember him. Yeah, he's cool.
Of course, it was young dude back when we first all started together. A cough, or worse yet, a sneeze, in all caps, gives a new meaning to the phrase duck and cover. A sneeze is like a hand grenade nowadays.
Ooh, that's true.
It's true. Nowadays, you sneeze in public and you're going to get your ass beat with long sticks. The Maypole wrote, the couch gag evolves. I'm just glad someone finally recognized the couch gag.
This is when we did the Killer Clowns. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is your idea. You're brilliant, James. It really frustrates me that you're funnier than I am. It really makes me upset. Continue to love these reviews. Such a shame y'all drop off. And then I think he said something about like how we're not doing more, but we'll do. We're not going away. Lawrence Gillespie wrote, Hale is now Charred Loris.
Ooh.
Charred. I think if you get a hard D on that one, you get Charred Dolores. Charred Dolores. There's a dash there. Charred. Okay. All right. Oh, we got another Courtney G. This is your lucky week, Courtney. And is this Inner Journey's place also some kind of future prison system? I say that because maybe Caleb went there for murdering his partner, and of course William is there. Does the psychologist know he murdered his? And then I also didn't click on.
Well, I mean, that was on the right track. We find out that it is a prison system, only you're not there for a crime. You're there because you're not predictable. You're an outlier, and you are in stasis there. So if that's not a prison...
And also,
I don't know what it is.
Your existence reflects badly on the system. It's like the system has to keep a certain subset of people out of visibility, or else its own credibility could be questioned. Not that people even know that it's already invisible anyway, but it has to it's almost like denial. It's kind of like how society sort of turns its back on groups of people based on identity and based on their socioeconomic status. Their voices are erased from political influence, and therefore they never receive any kind of, okay, that's me getting into my soapbox there. Eric has an exclamation point for instead of an I, James.
That's pretty cool.
How do you pronounce that? Come on.
Yeah.
Eric!
I feel like you got to slam your fist on a hard surface as you say it.
All right, Eric. That was my thigh, which is not hard. I've been doing squats. Yeah. When this quarantine's over, I want to have a red hot sex body. Because I want to be like, yo, ladies, you know that feeling? I turn into a big lump of shit. I look if you took like a bunch of bags of mashed potatoes and then like taped them together, that's me. But it won't be me for long. All right. Eric X says, for a fee, the U.S. Treasury should let you choose whose name goes in the memo of your stimulus check or tax return. I'd pay to have Video James. Eric wants your name on his check, James.
I will allow it. That's pretty funny.
Sarah Aiken. Aiken for some bacon, right, James? I'm having bacon for dinner after we're done with this, everybody. Something Hank touched on that I wish the show would touch on a bit more is how family dynamics are reflected in systems and society on a broader scale. Hell yeah. That's right. Everything's a big system. We're all just emotional triggers. I don't mean that in the modern vernacular necessarily, but we're all just emotional flipping ones and zeros. Just turned on and off, and we're just much more complicated, and we have biological processing and emotional processing, and it works laterally across current time, and it also works vertically through history and time. And humans are one of the only animals that can predict its own death, so we also freak out about the future constantly, which is an extra layer of emotional complexity that we struggle with. Right?
Yes.
Economics, the field of economics doesn't really have much accounting for emotions. It assumes everybody's a rational decision maker, which is not how it works.
True.
Yes, Sarah, listen to my podcast. Links in the description. All I do is bitch and yell about fucking emotional systems, basically. And I don't do it enough. I got to record more of that episode. All right, so, oh God, I do recognize this person who writes a lot. I just never said the name out loud.
Who writes a lot?
Well, I mean, I've seen him on here a bunch. Caxon Lopez, Caoxn Lopez. James has a theory that you guys should explore. He believes that Charlotte Hale is Arnold's Charlie. Charlie's in single quotes. Mm-hmm. Can you guys elaborate in the next episode? Now, does that make sense? Do you know what he's asking? Do you want to read it?
Well, I mean, it seems a little odd that you have so many names that are available to use for a show, and you would take a name that is so pivotal in the past seasons, Arnold's child, Charlie, and then you would deliberately reuse that name. Uh-huh. That, to me, seems to be a deliberate sign. That might mean something more. I don't quite know what it would mean, or right. I don't quite know how to make it make sense in the way that I want it to make sense. And I might be grasping at straws here by this, but it seems a little odd to me.
It's like a drug sniffing dog. Like you just kind of have a little.
I have a hunch that there's something there.
I think there's something to that. Yeah.
Right. It's like you think there might be something in the car, which gives you probable cause to search it. Then you search it and find out there's nothing there, and then you have to plant something to justify your search.
Exactly.
Which is why when the moment comes that it proves me wrong, I'll make up something in the past and hope no one notices and be like, see, I was right the whole time.
Yeah, I like the way you're working. You're hanging out with me. Meaning I'm turning you into a scumbag. That's
yeah.
Nick Zales says, your analysis is... Oh, Nick, it's Y-O-U-R. Your analysis is very good, but these side stories and lame jokes are just awful.
Oh, yeah.
I can't take this. By the way, James, so I'm going to open a haircut business. I've got some 7-foot pieces of metal, and I'm going to sharpen them into scissors, and that way I can give haircuts to people who need their hairs cut. What do you think? Good idea, huh?
Just like an extender.
Like I'm continuing the guy's story or comment. I'm going to find somebody who doesn't tell lame jokes. Hey, James, I figured out why horses have such big dicks.
Yes, because they F horses.
Yep, so they can fuck horses.
Yes.
I made that up myself. And waste all my... Okay, so I got to tell you another story here real quick. No, I'm joking around there. Yes, Nick, I get it. Good luck with your next click. I'm sure you'll find a YouTube channel that meets your needs. Thanks for taking the time to comment.
I mean, that was the whole point of us starting this, to waste his time.
Yeah.
We did it.
We're going to get that Nick. We're going to make sure we waste his time. No, but I get it. Like, we're presenting a humor that I'm embarrassed and ashamed of, but not enough to stop trying. And, that if your taste doesn't harmonize with someone else's taste, it's kind of like music. It's like, this is not a flavor of music that you take to. Some people do seem to like it, and that's flattering and surprising. And some people don't. And that's the least surprising part. You'd be the biggest idiot in the world to be presenting a humorous take on something and assume that 100% of the people are going to like what they see. It's not offensive to me at all that someone says, I don't think you're funny. Like, yeah, of course. I'm hoping 1% of the people think I'm funny. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need that. You don't need that many people to like get into it and dig it. I'd obviously like more than 1%, but you see what I'm saying now? It's like, it's irrational to expect 100% of people to harmonize with the kind of entertainment output that you're putting out there. That's why there's so much variety, There's all sorts of stupid shit that I see that I go like, I don't like that. That's a waste of my time. I just go move on. Just get on something else.
Yeah.
But I get what he's saying. I don't actually disagree.
But one thing I would mention is that you look at another analysis that's put together that is more highly polished and more professionally produced, where they watch it and they formulate their thoughts into a script.
And they
do multiple takes. They speak clearly and concisely. They don't repeat themselves. And they have everything plotted out.
And they're concise.
Right. And that's not... We literally just watched this.
Yeah.
We did not have time to do that.
No. Well, we could if we really tried.
Right, but that's not
that's not our thing anymore. We're not can't do that. Even when we did the shot by shot. Actually, one of the reasons I think maybe at least when we're looking at the shot by shot screens, we're seeing other screenshots other than the one that we're showing because I make the thumbnails really big in Windows Explorer, so we can kind of actually sort of take in, at least for me, I would look ahead a little bit, and that would help me remember a bit of more what we're going at. Also, you do about 90% of the memorizing for me. I just rely on you. You're like you're my memorizing eye human, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay. But I would wager that if you took a channel that does that very calculated, concise type thing, and you were to throw them into trying to do what we're doing here, they'd be just as rambling and weird as we are.
It'd be sloppy and dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're offering a sloppy, dumb take, okay?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a podcast, just farting around. Low expectations, and nobody's disappointed, except they're always disappointed. All right, just a couple more here. David AGL81. The two best questions in the world I've heard are, how can something before anything create everything out of nothing, including itself? All right, I agree.
My head just blew up.
No, it's the flying lasagna monster, okay? The precursor to the spaghetti monster. And two, where did matter come from and how did matter become alive? Oh, shit, I didn't click on read more. Sorry there, David. I'm sure you had some great insights to share with that. So, James, I have a question for you. Where did matter come from and how did matter become alive?
Well, you have the Big Bang Theory, you have the primordial soup theory, but I don't fancy myself to be even remotely qualified to even comment on that question, although I do find it a very important question and a very interesting question that mankind has been looking for an answer for since our ability to ponder the question. So yeah, I mean, it's you think about like quantum physics and the mechanics of the beginning of the universe and the creation of matter and the existence of an area before time existed. It's like, it's the way I think about it is, you look at a dog, and a dog has intelligence, and a dog has emotions, and they have all the different functionalities that allow us to relate to them on an emotional level and on a very pseudo-intellectual level.
Sure. But
a dog...
all very powerful levels.
Right.
Yeah.
But no matter how hard you try or how much time you spend, a dog is never going to be able to understand the concept of what a television is, or what's coming through the television,
right?
Or how that whole thing works. To us, it's fairly simple because we understand it, we can see the mechanics behind it, and we know the process.
Yeah, and we also know that electricity is not the demon.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a dog can never know that because it is beyond the scope of what a dog can understand.
Right.
I think of these questions as something that might make perfect sense to some other entity out there, but I feel like the dog in that scenario. It's like I'm looking at something and I feel like the biological construct that I am cannot fathom it.
All right. I like it. Yeah. Cool. Well done. Okay. So what's the next part of that is, how did matter become alive?
Maybe it never did. Maybe we're all dead.
Oh, shit. I do think there's something interesting to the notion, and there's a sort of a spiritual comfort or simplistic. It's simplistic and pretty cliche, but I think it's true, is that the universe, consciousness, and now we could also debate which animals have consciousness or not. I think it's a gradient. I don't think it's a sharp line, but consciousness, especially in human consciousness, is the universe is aware of itself. we are universe. We are made of elements that were forged in the suns, the death throes of an ancient ancestral star that created the larger elements that are necessary for life, for complex life, as well as the other, like the helium and hydrogen and helium were the most prevalent, but hydrogen by far, but also there was some helium and actually a little bit of lithium at the very beginning of the Big Bang. And we can only know that stuff accurately to within, no one was there, no one's going there, but it's all run through models and simulations. And if there's one thing scientists love to do, my brother is a neuroscience professor, and that doesn't make me an authority on it, but I've hung out with a bunch of scientists. Not that this is something they talk about, but scientists love to disprove other scientists. That's like one of the best things you could do. Not that they are out being dicks to each other, but especially with the big theories. If you could come up with a replacement theory for Einstein, something that unites all the theories, like that would make you one of the most famous scientists in the world. And so when certain theories aren't disproved, they've been attempted to. And actually, it's that disproving process. That's why science is unlike religion, is because the science is strengthened by attempts to disprove it. Because every time you do disprove some part of it, you've chopped off a part of the tree that doesn't make any sense now. And then you ask new questions and you continue to probe and you always adapt it to increasing knowledge. Now, the thing about the matter that you were saying, or at least something I wanted to add, is I think of human beings, or at least we're constantly expanding our perceptual abilities. Our understanding can only go so far as how we can interpret information that we can detect. And the microscope was a great leap in detecting information, meaning we could see worlds we couldn't see before. The telescope, similarly. Reading and writing, just in terms of teaching and being able to transmit knowledge from one generation to the next or several generations apart. Those are all ways of adding information to someone's decision-making and interpretation matrix. So as you expand, and then computers come along, and computers greatly increase the ability for human beings to not just detect information, but process stuff, and then to learn from the way you process data that you take in. So as we expand our abilities in terms of basically like satellites to look at the cosmos, and then also the simulations using supercomputers to sort of, and then studying quantum stuff, which you don't need to go to space to do that. We're going to approach more accurate explanations for all these questions, but we will probably never have a satisfactory answer for what was before the Big Bang, or if the Big Bang theory is actually withstands scrutiny as it seems to have so far.
It's the best theory we got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why I point out that if there were like a better theory, at least we'd have a much stronger competitor for it, because scientists love to disprove other scientists. It's great. Mm-hmm. It's like a big career thing. I know I'm drastically oversimplifying that, but that's kind of that's the refining process of the scientific method, is the peer review, right? And there's flaws to all that too. Any human institution, any human creation is not going to be perfect either. But matter being alive I don't think that's as crazy as people think. I don't think that's I don't think life is all that rare. We might be in the early phases of the numbers of life in the world, because there's still billions and billions and trillions of years of the star period that we're in, because eventually all the stars will burn out. But there's still a long, long, long time for lots of life to evolve in the universe. But
maybe the intention was to say sentient, complex life.
Yeah, and that's probably a lot more rare than microbial life.
Yeah,
which makes sense, I guess. And who knows what other kinds of life forms might take. I happen to think that aliens are going to be kind of like people. Mm-hmm. I know that's just human centric, whatever the word is for that. Mm-hmm. But like, they're going to need to manipulate their world. So they probably have some kind of claw or hands. They're going to need to take in light. They'll probably have eyes of some kind. It seems like sound is a pretty useful thing to absorb. So they'll probably have some way of hearing. Now, you reconfigure the chemicals and the ratio of the different chemicals as in building a planet where they evolve. We assume they're going to be on a planet. Maybe there's on some sort of intergalactic asteroid or something. And so that could drastically change the way that biology morphotypes or genotypes or phenotypes. I don't know what the right word is, but anyway, that's just me being an idiot about that, though. I don't think humans are special. I just think that there's something, an animal's got to have information detection and information processing, and then physical manipulation of the world. How could an intelligent species evolve to build radio towers if they don't have a way of holding a radio hammer for building radio towers. You know what I'm saying, James?
Maybe they just have a radio head.
But great question. You really stimulated our conversation and added a lot of enlightenment to our discussion. Thanks, David, Angel81. Okay, finally, we'll just, because I think Doug took some time to write this, and we don't need to elaborate too much, but he goes, this is Doug McClure, I believe. Why was the maze showing up in graffiti outside the park? I have a plausible explanation or two.
Ooh,
Remember Akecheta, the Ghost Nation host who became aware of the humans running the park? After witnessing the massacre in which Dolores killed Arnold, he became obsessed with the image of the maze and made it his mission to spread it to as many of his people as possible. In season 2, during an encounter with Ford, he said, I gave myself a new drive to spread the truth, that there isn't one world but many, and that we live in the wrong one. Maybe he managed to get spread, I think he didn't need to get there, but maybe he managed to spread the symbol beyond the boundaries of the park somehow. The park must have many employees who presumably have lives outside the park. One or more such employees may have encountered the image of the maze in connection with strange occurrences of unexplainable behavior from the hosts, like Akecheta. Working at Westworld, one might also become aware of AI and suspicious of companies trying to organize, quote-unquote, organize the world's data, and might find themselves adopting the maze image as an avatar on forums or spread the image in conversations with activists, hacker, or conspiracy theorist communities where it might become a symbol of resistance. Okay, plausible.
Yeah.
Some park employee let the symbol out and put it on Reddit or something. Mm-hmm. 4chan or some shit. I don't know. Yeah. All right.
Could be.
Any thoughts on it? Yeah, good stuff. Doug, thanks. Appreciate the thoughtfulness and the words you used. So, all right. Well, anything else, James, coming up? Any predictions for the final?
Not really. I hope. Well, the problem is there is going to be another season, right?
Yeah. News came out. There's going to be season 4.
So they can't really resolve the situation with Maeve, or can they?
Well,
can a season 4 exist absent the actors of Maeve, who play Maeve and who play Dolores?
I mean,
without them driving the storyline, there's no one for Bernard and Ashley Stubbs to chase.
You're saying Maeve is probably alive, or they'll bring her back.
Right, but can there really be a reasonable conclusion in the next episode if there is a season 4? It's like you can't...
Well, okay,
you can't have an ultimate resolution.
Right, so you're saying that it could be that this is basically just the midpoint of a 2-season arc, or this is... It's harder to imagine that this is the end of this arc, and then they're gonna open up some other kind of thing.
Right, because I feel like if there's a season 4, you need these characters. These characters are too important, too critical to the storyline. You cannot remove them in the final episode, or the episode prior to the final episode, and then have an entirely separate season. Yeah. Or could you?
Well, they can make up some other villain, some guy. Sirac's got some cousin, some guy, Le Refrigerator. Refrigerator. Yeah. The Refrigerator Perry, right? Refrigerator Perry.
Sure.
Does that make any sense to you?
Refrigerator Perry. Matthew Perry. Perry, the guy who went to the South Pole, the North Pole, or...
Shackleton?
Who was the guy who climbed Mount Everest first? Was it Perry?
Oh, that was Hillary. Edmund Hillary.
So Perry was the one who went to the pole then?
Yeah, right. But Refrigerator Perry doesn't...
Refrigerator Perry.
I'm from Chicago. You're not going to get... There was a football player. He was a gigantic man.
Sports.
And his name was the Refrigerator. William Perry. Was it William Perry? Fuck, I can't believe I don't know. I think his number was 82.
Yeah.
But he was a huge guy. He was just... And actually the Bears in the 80s were one of the best things in sports. I'm not even a big sports head, but I don't think football teams do this much. Where he was like offensive lineman, I think. Offensive or defensive lineman. Anyway, one of the big blocky dudes and one of the biggest ones. So they call him the Refrigerator. And they would make him a running back on short runs. So like when it's a yard to go to the end zone. So they take their biggest dude and give him the ball and just see if anybody could tackle him to try to get across the end zone. So he scored some touchdowns that way, which was always crazy exciting to see this guy, because he's 4 times the size of your average running back. It's awesome.
Yeah, if you give me
and he danced great in the Super Bowl
shuffle. If you gave me a pen and paper and said, put a gun to the back of my head and said, write down the name of 5 athletes, you would end up with a bloody piece of paper with Michael Jordan at the top, and the rest is just my brain matter below it.
You couldn't even do another one? Golf?
I know Larry Bird and Michael Jordan because I played an NES game when I was a kid, and they played against each other.
A famous athlete just had a bad accident in a haka. It was all over the news before the virus hit.
Oh, the beef guy.
Beef guy?
Yeah,
What did he sponsor beef?
He was named after meat.
Oh. Named after meat.
Well, he wasn't he?
I don't know if it was named after, but his name he does share names with a kind of refined meat.
Kobe. Yeah.
Bryant.
Yes.
That's 3. So you can't do 2 more athletes? Let me give you another hint. Tennis. How about hockey?
Super Nintendo 64 Wayne Gretzky hockey. I know that one.
Where is this high-pitched part of my laugh coming from? I don't normally have that.
Got one.
All right, 4. You've got Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, the Beef Guy, and Super Nintendo's Wayne Gretzky's. Let me give you another hint. Ball.
No, I got it.
All right.
Chris Hemsworth is doing a biopic of Hulk Hogan.
I'm going to have to check with the jury on that one. No, sorry. Boop, boop. They say that is not an acceptable answer. Wow.
I watched Saturday Night Live, and there was a guy who was a terrible, terrible actor. I didn't know who he was, but his voice sounded like an impression that another man that I know used to do. So I looked it up, and his name was Charles Barkley. Oh. And I recognized him because there was a Nintendo game called Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam.
Yeah, okay.
So unless you're in like a
horrible,
that's what it sounded like. Yes,
Frank Caliendo does like a.
That's the guy I was thinking of. I was like, this man sounds just like Frank Caliendo.
Yeah. Charles Barkley does a great Frank Caliendo.
He does.
Hey man, that's all terrible. I could, if I heard it first, I could probably hit it a little bit better.
So well, all right. If you're in like an NES
4 basketball players and 1 hockey player.
Yeah, so I just need to think about video games and I can figure it out. I got this.
There's a really famous golfer. I feel like you have that name in your head, of course. Someone who's been in some controversy, famous for a red shirt and black pants. At least that's like when he was at his peak. He had a taste for fame.
The red shirt did it.
Fame and wealth.
Tiger. Yeah.
Tiger what?
Tiger Woods.
Middle name?
Tiger Joe Exotic.
King. Tiger King Woods. Come on, James.
Does he have a middle name?
Yeah, it's King.
It's not King.
It's King.
It's a Tiger King.
I wish it's King. He's King Key. Yeah. No, I don't know his middle name is, but Tiger Woods, very famous. One of the most famous people. He's like the Adele.
He had that affair. Yeah.
Lots of affairs. Mm-hmm. With like.
Shoot, O.J. Simpson.
Dude, see, you should be a sports broadcaster.
Yeah.
You should be like the color commentary guy on a football show.
I got this.
Yeah. You're amazing. You got to 6 or 7, I guess, 1 with an assist. That's so funny. Are race car drivers athletes?
Ooh, yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's not.
I think it's a physically difficult thing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I imagine it probably counts.
No,
you have to have strong shoulders to like hold. I mean, it takes talent and skill, and talk about risk too. By the way, I don't think people understand how fast race cars are.
Yeah,
on TV, you don't get the sense how fucking powerful and fast those things. Okay,
I mean, I'm from Virginia, and people have those commemorative plates all over the place of like NASCAR people.
Yeah,
and there's
number 3.
I don't know what number it was, but there was a guy with a big like cowboy hat on with like a mustache and beard and stuff, and there was a NASCAR behind him, so I assume he's famous. Yeah,
I think that guy killed himself. I mean, like got killed in a crash, where he was driving, but not on purpose. Like he wasn't just smashing into like the bank. All right, well, I love that little diversion. That was a lot of fun. I don't know. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out my politics podcast. There's a link in the description if you want to listen to a lunatic ramble about lefty politics. I got your back. Come on over. Talk you into caring about yourself for a change. And I'm a little behind on episodes, but that's all right. I've been out of it. It's my excuse. And anything else, James? Anything you want to add?
Babe Ruth.
Ooh, no, that's 8. Should we push for 10? Do you think
because
we could do 10?
There was an NES game called American All-Stars, and I played as American All-Stars because they were easier. My dad played as the other team.
Yeah.
And Babe Ruth was one of the people on it that was always hit home runs with them.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to get to 10. How about Naked Gun movie?
Leslie Nielsen.
Yes. He was the starting center for the Los Angeles Lakers. Leslie Nielsen.
He's great.
Naked Gun, though. Does that ring in any sports for you? Other than O.J. Simpson, of course.
No.
That was part of his burgeoning acting career. All right. Well, there was a... now I don't know his name. He's a great guy. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He writes columns. He's a good writer.
Wait a minute.
But that's not your guess. How about...
Wait a minute. No.
What?
That Kareem guy.
Kareem.
He was in, I think, a Super Nintendo game where he did Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Shaq.
Oh, right.
There was another one, I think, with Kareem in it, and he was like the super tall dude.
He was an actor, too. This guy's had a crazy life. He was in some Bruce Lee movies, actually. Where he played like a really tall Kung Fu guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, you don't get to say Kareem because I gave you that one, even though I know. So you got to come up with one more.
I'm thinking of all the games I've played.
Let me try to review while you think. You got Michael Jordan. Who's the next one you said?
Larry Bird.
Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Wayne Gretzky, the Beef Guy.
Yes.
Charles Barkley. I can't remember the other ones. I'm bad at this.
Babe Ruth.
Oh yeah, Babe Ruth and.
I didn't have any sports games, so I don't.
Tiger Woods was one of yours.
I never had any golf games.
And Shaq. So yeah, you got 9. So
I had Mario Golf on the original Game Boy.
Well, Mario was pretty famous. Mario Van Peebles. Yeah. Any soccer players? It's probably unlikely that you're a soccer kid, especially in America here.
I get tired just watching soccer.
Oh, come on, there's got to be plenty of other super famous, another athlete, maybe like a boxer, some sort of punching guy.
There was that famous boxing...
Float like a butterfly.
Now I'm thinking memes.
Oh, okay.
No, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, of course.
Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, of course.
Oh, how did I miss that one? The Power Glove was made for that game.
I just kicked the coffee table. Sorry. That's great. All right, well done. You did it. Wait, what's the guy's the protagonist in Mike? Is it Jake? In Mike.
I can't think of his name, but
yeah. Anyway, wonderful. Thanks, James. Thanks for putting up with that. That was a lot of fun. I hope the people enjoyed it. I hope you guys are enjoying our Westworld stuff. And season 8's coming, or season 3 is coming to an end with episode 8 next week, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Wash your hands and your feet, and if you're gonna cough into an elbow, cough into your neighbor's elbow. It's much more sanitary.
It's gonna be hard for Dolores to do now.
That's my coughing elbow. If you had your body separated into parts, I would want like separate coffins for every part, and then form it up like Leonardo's drawing of like the guy with the arms sticking out, instead of just packing them all in one
like
box.
A little child carrying your head, or the pallbearer. Drops in your head, just rolls
I
out.
think heads are heavy. I think heads are like 20 pounds. I think a kid would have a hard time carrying a head.
I could get like a barbell and have like a head in each end and bench press you.
Not bad. Yeah. I like the way you're thinking. Okay. All right. Great. Bye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye, James.
James, plug in the microphone. Jesse's got instructions. I mean, the virtual assistant's got instructions for Jesse. James, call